The Newtown shootings also occurred in a year when urban gun violence in Chicago had reached startling proportions. Enough, we said, is enough. The gun lobby is no match for the cross lobby.
The bodies of children had not even been removed from Sandy Hook Elementary School when the gun control debate reached another fever pitch. Those screaming for an end to readily available weapons. Those who snap back that responsible gun owners don't kill. We are 2 years since those murders, and simply stated, what have we actually done to make any real substantive change? First up, let's welcome a staff attorney for the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Allison Anderman joins us again. And he is the communications director for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms and recently co-authored the book Dancing in Blood, Exposing the Gun Lobby's Playbook to Destroy Your Rights. Dave Workman. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Allison, I'm going to begin with you. I talk about change. And again, there's a lot of anger on both sides here that change hasn't happened for whatever reason. What hasn't been done? What were you and what was this lobby promise that hasn't been done yet, and who do you blame?
Well, I actually think tremendous progress has been made in the 2 years since the horrific massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School. In fact, 37 states have enacted 99 laws strengthening gun regulations, most notably in the areas of background checks. As we know, Washington State enacted by voter initiative for the first time in our nation's history, a background check law. And lots of states, significant states, in fact, I want to list some of them for you because they're very notable, passed laws increasing the mental health records that are sent to the FBI.
Okay, how many states are there? We don't have time for all of them, but how many states are there?
Let's see. I have 11 states improve their laws regarding domestic violence, and 19 states improve reporting of mental health records to the FBI.
Okay, so let me get to this then. Allison, you're fairly happy then with what has happened. Dave, let me turn it over to you then, because I would guess that there are things that have happened. If what Allison says is true, and of course they are, these laws have been enacted, I would have to imagine some people I know who are gun owners are not real happy with a lot of these laws.
Well, that's right, Ed. Last Saturday, for example, more than 1,000 people showed up in Olympia at the state capitol to protest the passage of Initiative 594. That's the measure that Allison had mentioned. But I think if you look back over the last 2 years, some of the things that have happened were things that the so-called gun lobby recommended. For example, more schools have armed guards in them. More schools, there are several schools that have allowed staff to be trained and carry firearms in order to be the first responders in case of a tragedy like this. And I think that it's also important to understand that firearms ownership is on the rise, and yet violent crime is actually, according to the FBI crime stats, on the way down.
Well, I want to point on that one sec, Dave, because Allison, 52% of those surveyed in a Pew Research Center poll said it's more important to protect the rights of Americans to own guns. So there actually is, since Sandy Hook, there has been a rise in the people who believe we should be able to own guns. Does that bother you at all?
Not particularly, because when the question is framed that way, that's a typical response. People always favor rights over control in the abstract. However, when you actually poll the American people on specific policies, they overwhelmingly support policies to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people and require people to behave responsibly with their guns.
Okay, isn't that part of it, though, the dangerous people, Dave? I mean, that's a good part here. You want to keep it out of the hands of dangerous people and keep it in the hands of responsible folks, right? Don't we? We can agree on that.
No, we don't disagree on that at all. Firearms owners have historically wanted to punish the guilty, but leave the law-abiding citizens alone. 2 years ago, I was part of a group that appeared at a press conference, and then we went to testify in Olympia on behalf of legislation, unfortunately didn't go anywhere, that would have punished armed juveniles and recidivist juvenile thugs with guns but it would have left law-abiding gun owners alone completely.
All right, now hang tight, both of you, please, here, because we have to take a short break. We will continue. We're going to move to smart gun laws. Let's also bring the National Rifle Association into this, as of course they always do every time this debate comes up, and simply why we can never seem to find enough common ground to make real change occur nationwide on this issue. 43 minutes after the hour, we find common ground in making life a little better for our servicemen and women around the world. It's all coming up right here on MidPoint.